on the board already. That is what tempered steel can do for you. And he passes the turn. There you see the board for the first time. And on the left of your screen is Conley Woods. Channel Fireball sleeves handily, and the black sleeves belong to Mr. Craig Wesco of the United States. So BDM, you think we could be settling in for a long one here, at least in terms of the number of games we play?
Well, not if Conley gets openings like this. But after we go to sideboard, there's just a lot of... Oh, there's a Lean and Relic Water main deck. Faceless Butcher your Signal Pest. For when I was talking to Conley, when we did a deck tech on this deck, he felt that flying was the essential piece. By the way, that also shuts off the Metalcraft for the Mox Opal. Yep. Although he does have the Nexus to turn.
So here comes Origin Spellbomb and Mox Opal.
Yep.
Back we go to Wesco on the right of screen, playing Geist Aggro.
Wood started on 5 cards this game, by the way.
Okay. So a ton of cards in hand for Wesco right now, a full grip of 7.
Attack. Yep.
And he's going to go on the beat down with his Land and Relic Water.
Yeah, when you look at Wesco's main deck, he's got 4 Fiend Hunters, he's got 2 Oblivion Rings, and he's got the 2 Lean and Relic Waters main deck.
Attack.
So lots of butchers.
13, 19.
Mm-hmm. 19, Wesco 13.
And the Etched Champion. Just gonna put an end to Craig's beatdown here.
Protection from all colors as long as you have Metalcraft.
0 cards, yeah.
Wesco confirms that Conley has 0 cards in hand. So his Mirren Crusader not doing an awful lot right now. Craig, you see a Hero of Bladehold in Wesco's hand.
Your turn.
There it is.
That could be, important.
4. 4 cards.
4 cards for Wesco.
One of which we can see as an Honor of the Pure.
Couple of land. Honor of the Pure +1.
Craig Wesco's got the Moorland Haunt up on top. That's a card that's also in the Channel Fireball Tempered Steel deck. It doesn't have any synergy with the Artifact plan, but it gives them some reach for the late game.
White.
So away goes the Spellbomb.
Drop.
Out comes the Conley.
2 cards for Conley, but both are land. The looks of things.
19, Wesco 13.
So Wesco's at 13.
So, by the way, if you want to see what's going on the back tables, if you go to the main coverage page, we have all the reporters updating play-by-play on Cover It Live. You can also chat with us in the booth via the Cover It Live link. Apparently, LSV had a quick pair of copies of Tempered Steel against Bland. Bland had an Oblivion Ring for one, but the other one is proving to be difficult for him.
Okay.
PV and Caplan, Tempered Steel is advantaged early in game 1.
So there's Honor of the Pure for Wesco at the top of your screen. And now Wesco has Doomed Traveler, Mana Leak, and Plains. Chance to get a Spirit when the Traveler dies. Which with Honor of the Pure will not be a 1/1.
Attack Fizz. Yep.
Oh, Bland is actually, despite multiple Tempered Steels from LSV,
Stacking it to where the tokens
he doesn't
get
have a
the
lot of
bonus.
creatures.
Yep.
Here we go.
So in comes the hero and the crusader and 2 soldiers
3 cards.
with
cards.
honor of the pure.
And battle cry. So those soldiers are attacking for 3.
Conley looks at his very unexciting land in hand. And although it was a mulligan to 5, it's actually getting battered.
It was a pretty good mulligan to 5, but Wesco has really punished him for it. I've been so impressed with Conley's play this weekend.
It's been very different to Conley that we've seen in the past. There is a different person lurking in that frame right now.
So he animates his Nexus, puts that in front of the relic water.
Okay.
Can tell you that
So,
Josh Utter-Leyton is up a game in his quarterfinal. So he's 1 up over Jun'ya Iyanaga.
10, sorry. Yeah.
So he takes 10,
Oof.
And
holds the Mirroring Crusader at bay with protection from all colors.
everything else lives, right?
Woods 10, Wesco 10.
Now there's the Traveller.
Your turn.
And Wesco passes the turn. So far the only game that has resolved itself in this top 8 is Josh Utter-Leyton 1 up over Jun'ya Iyanaga of Japan.
Two cards. I have 2 cards.
Woods
You have
10,
1?
Wesco 10.
Yeah.
2 cards to 1, where Wesco is advantaged. We know that one of those 2 cards from Wesco is a
Mana
mana
leak.
leak, so I believe Conley's 1 card is a dispatch.
Woods yet to be beaten in standard, but that's true for Wesco as well. Somebody goes down here. In comes Voltscourge and Glinthawk
7
through the
to
air.
11.
7.
Woods 11, Wesco 7.
Oh, sorry. Good call. Yeah, that doesn't
Conley's
change
land
anything.
comes into play untapped and not tapped, which actually does change things somewhat.
Go ahead. Upkeep.
Upkeep, I'm gonna dispatch your Hero of Bladehold. So it actually did matter, Craig.
More results from the other tables. Paulo Damo Rosa leads David Caplan of Canada by 1-0. And also in other Channel Fireball news, Scott-Vargas 0, Richard Bland 1. I say that completely neutrally. There is the dispatch.
Sounded like Luis had a triple Tempered Steel draw without a lot of action to back it up.
Yeah, giving your no creatures +6/+6.
Draw.
Hero of Bladehold is successfully dispatched.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mana leak there anyway, so he's forced to tap his Inkmoth Nexus? Leaving him only 2 blockers?
Wesco still with that lane in Relic Water down at the bottom that took out Signal Pest. That was the first positive move of the top 8 for him. He has his Mirror Crusader, Doom Traveler, pair of soldiers, Honor of the Pure. in amongst his lands.
Woods 11, Wesco 7. The score currently is Woods 11, Wesco 7.
Someone get a score up on the screen.
Woods is at 11. There he is. Wesco
please.
at 7. Attack, bring it, says Conley. All business. So Wesco, looking at his cards, says, has a think, and then the well-known untap part of the attack step. Relic Warder, Crusader, Traveller, 2 soldiers, Honor of the Pure, changing the math.
So, like we said earlier, Conley was talking about how flying was just incredibly relevant for them when building this deck. And you can see why here. I mean, he's just able to, you know, consistently get damage in over the top of Craig's creatures.
So Craig is trying to work out what happens if Conley gets the Signal Pest back.
It's not very good.
Is he obliged to keep Relic Warder back? He can't risk it in combat, and his left hand still hovering over his Relic Warder. Does it go into the red zone along with everything else? Millimeter by millimeter.
Well, it turns. I mean, if he can get some creatures in his yard, turn on his Moorland Haunt, and he's able to deal with the Vault Scourge or tie up the Clint Hawk. And
he says, no, I leave it at home. And now thinking time passes to Woods. Originally from Gary, Indiana. Just 24. Seems like he's been around forever, but 24, 95 lifetime pro points. Started playing 2003 at Friday Night Magic.
3 cards.
burst onto the scene in Honolulu 2009.
With flowers around his neck.
Yeah, top 8.
Yep. But he doesn't have a huge amount to work with here.
Animate the Nexus. Eat a token. Let my Nexus get eaten by the Crusader.
Wesco looks at his hand.
First strike.
First strike. Yep. My Nexus is dead.
Puts
Take 4.
nothing in the yard for
7/7.
Craig to be able to activate his Moorland Haunt.
Woods 7, Wesco
You have to exile a creature to activate that, correct?
Yes.
That'll be true of the second one then. So back we go to Woods. It's 7 apiece here in game 1. And Woods is certainly putting up a decent effort off 5. This is the only game 1 still in progress. Remember, Paulo, Vitor, Damo, Rosa leads David Caplan of Canada 1-0. That's Steel against Mono Red. Bland leads Scott-Vargas 1-0. Green-White tokens against Steel. And Utter-Leyton is your current Channel Fireball player who is up a game over Iyanaga.
You actually don't need to say Steel each time. You can,
Yeah.
you can just mention the other deck.
Okay. Mana leak. Successful from Wesco.
On a second edge champion. So Craig is at 4. He has to kill Conley this turn. Conley has 3 in the air and the essentially unblockable edge champion next turn.
So for all the pressure and the Honor of the Pure and the Moorland Haunt that couldn't actually do anything, starting to look like Conley Woods off a mulligan to 5 may take the opener.
Attack. Yep.
Craig attacks with everybody. Conley needs to not take 8 here. can put his token in front of the Crusader, put the Etch Champion in front of the token, and you take 3, 4. Sounds like 2 Hero of Blade holds have shown up for Richard Bland in Game 2.
Really?
They've both been dispatched, though, by Luis.
Less really.
Yeah, Dispatch is really showing itself to be a huge card in all the Tempered Steel matchups. A Chandra's Phoenix just got dispatched in the Paulo matchup.
Oh, okay. It's one of those cards that feels, when you first see it, like, oh, that'll be a nice little limited trick.
Conley's thinking about blocks.
And Craig is thinking, do I really lose this when he's mulligan to 5? Really?
I mean, he has to attack here, right? I mean, he has no blockers. There's no reason not to.
It is 1-1 in Louis Scott-Vargas against Richard Bland. Not great news for Owen Turtenwald.
Blocked.
Luis is 2 games away from the semi-finals.
Conley puts the Etch Champion in front of the Hero. Or in front of the Crusader, sorry.
Damage? Yep, put a 2.
Go to 2. Wesco has a land and Geist of St. Traft.
Doesn't do anything here.
Nope.
Conley merely needs to go to his attack step.
Attack step.
Attack step. Bang.
I should have appealed.
And that is
That was
game 1 to
very
Conley
impressive.
Woods. Off a mulligan to 5. Goodness gracious me. So now we get into the sideboarding. And the deal here is that because it's the best of 5, sideboarding is even more important than normal. So we're going to take a chance while the players are busy shuffling away and going through their sideboards. Let us have a look at them too. Conley Woods. There you see him, still looking very dapper in the USA Channel Fireball top. And here is his sideboard. Couple of Dismember, single Glacial Fortress, okay, 3 Hero Bladehold, Singleton Oblivion Ring, the big 4 Shrine of Loyal Legions, let's have a ton of soldiers, 3 Spellskite, and a Timely Reinforcements. PDM, what's your read on the sideboard for Conley?
Well, I assume he's going to bring in. I assume he's going to bring in maybe the Shrine of Loyal Legions. You know, to swing it. I mean, he looked pretty good there. I mean, the issue is really actually he's going to bring in Hero of Bladehold because he knows that Craig Wesco is going to be bringing in more enchantment removal.
Okay.
So he wants something that's not. He wants a threat that's not going to be vulnerable to the enchantment and artifact removal that Craig's bringing in from his sideboard.
Well, let's see if we can have a look at Craig Wesco's
And he's probably also going to bring in
sideboard.
the Dismember so he can deal with Fiend Hunters and Relic Warders and the such.
Okay, there is Craig Wesco busy sideboarding away.
He's had 2 really solid years on the Pro Tour now, Craig Wesco.
Hasn't he just? Now, that is a pretty complicated sideboard, an awful lot of one-offs. We did a deck tech with him, and he was like, yeah, well, you know, one, you don't want the extra one. A lot of things that are in the main deck, and you get the chance to up the count. So we've got a single Angelic Destiny, get rid of a black or red permanent. Don't think he'll bring in Celestial Purge, just a little tip there.
He may bring in the Day of Judgment.
Just to wipe the board, sure. Couple of Dismember, single Divine Offering, that's obviously good against artifacts.
Obviously coming in. Oblivion Ring coming in. 2 Revoke Existences coming in.
What about the Timely Reinforcements? Yes or no? What do you think?
It seems like it should be terrific for him, so.
Yeah.
Conley comes out of the gate very fast. He plays 2 or 3 creatures. And Craig, 6 life and 3 guys is just going to be exactly what the doctor ordered.
I was talking with Mark...
Not the deck doctor, though.
No, indeed. I was talking with Mark Globus of R&D about Timely Reinforcements, and for such a a little card. It's not like it's a wrath effect or anything, you know, it's not one of these huge things. It is such a psychological impact. When you cast it, you feel like $1,000,000 when you go from 3 way back up and here's a ton of extra stuff. And when it's done to you, it's such a miserable feeling.
I've seen people dismember their own creature
Yep.
in response to a timely enforcement so that their opponent gains no life and gets no creatures.
Which actually is one of the best feelings in the world when you dismember your own guy to do that. And it's like, time reinforcements, ha, unlucky, good try. It's a terrific card, one of my favourite cards of recent times. So the players are getting ready for Game 2, Woods against Wesco, and we've got some score updates. Let's tell you where we are on the other tables right now. So Woods leads Wesco 1-0. Channel Fireball in the form of Josh Utter-Leyton lead 1-0.
Caplan's Grim Lava Mancers Goblin Fire Slingers, actually, I'm sorry, not Lava Mancers, have pinged Paulo to death in Game 2.
Okay, so
that up one apiece.
And Louis Scott-Vargas and Richard Bland, who are currently on the right of your screen, they are just getting underway in their third game with the score at 1-1. So we're going to stick here to bring you Game 2 of Conley Woods against Craig Wesco. Wesco, who's been wearing the suit all weekend, something we've seen a few pros do down the years as partly as a kind of mental aid and also just as a statement of meaning business to opponents.
So just talk for a second, just less about suits and about Conley. Conley won that game on a mulligan to 5 on the play. Conley is notorious for not mulliganing. He's notorious for not mulliganing 6-land hands. He's notorious for not mulliganing 1-land hands. He's notorious for not mulliganing hands with 3 forests and 4 red cards.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that has really been the difference maker for him this weekend is like someone really just hit him in the head and said, you have to mulligan the hands that are not winning.
Yeah, that's his nickname, isn't it, within the team? Conley, it's a keeper Woods.
Yeah, and you know, we saw him win a game on the play in Limited, where he mulliganed to 5, he mulliganed to 6-land hand, and then mulliganed to 1-land hand. And you know, he's just not sabotaging himself this weekend like he may have done in previous events. He really felt like he had something to prove this weekend too. He was not, you know, people do fantasy drafts at home. The Channel Fireball guys do a fantasy draft that was very deep, and Conley did not get picked very highly by any of the team members.
Okay.
In fact, you know, other players off the team were drafted ahead of him, and you know, he definitely came into this with a little bit of a grudge, a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Eek. Can tell you on Cover It Live that Louis Scott-Vargas has double Memnite, double Vault Scourge, and a Signal Pest by the end of turn 2. Wow.
And so what does Bland do about that?
Look forward to Game 4. Let's see how we go here in Game 2. And there's Conley. And that is not the pose that you generally associate with him. He's like chatting away usually. He's a very, very affable guy. You wouldn't think so from that shot.
No, he's been a stone cold killer this whole weekend.
So Wesco is going to keep 7. Can Conley keep 7 this time? He can. So we're away in Game 2, Seachrome Coast.
Gideon's Lawkeeper.
For some red hot tapping action. Turn 1 for Conley.
Memnite.
Glint Hawk, return the Memnite, replay the Memnite. Off you go. Again, Conley saying how important it was to be on the play. Got a glimpse of a dismember there.
Yep.
Interesting, it looks like Craig kept a 1-land hand.
Ooh.
Cortex.
I mean, he has dismember, which is a start. In.
No activations of the Lawkeeper from Craig.
Block.
Sure.
He blocks, he dismembers the flyer.
Hurts.
Go.
It looks like Caplan is ahead in Game 3 against Paulo with Arc Trail and Manic Vandal doing some hard work.
So 2 Sea Chrome Coast. There's Leonic Relic Warder,
Yep.
which was good, though ultimately not good enough for Craig in game number 1. Glinthawk Idol vanishes from the equation. Woods lays land number 3. We're about to find out why they call the deck Tempered Steel for the first time.
12.
12.
Bash for 3. And thanks in large part to the dismember, Craig is already down to 12.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a second Relic Water.
It is indeed, and that will get rid of Tempered Steel.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Alright, I'm done.
Hold on. Okay, I'm done. Woods looking at 3. There's an ex-champion there, Mox Opal.
Plays the ex-champion, animates his Nexus, attacks for 1.
12 and 1 poison.
Yep.
Go.
So Jun'ya Iyanaga has leveled things against Josh Utter-Leyton. When you have little white men, it turns out that giant titans that also, by the way, have Kessig Wolf run back up make pretty short work of little 1-1. So it's a 1-1 between Josh Utter-Leyton and Jun'ya Iyanaga of Japan. Currently 1-1 everywhere except right here, where Wesco is looking to equalize against Woods.
Ex-champion is making things uncomfortable for,
No cards.
No cards.
for Craig, despite the fact that Conley is out of cards. Can't attack with either of his Relic Waters right now without giving Conley something back.
Are you aware you have 1 poison?
I'm aware.
I see a Fiend Hunter and there's Honor of the
Sure.
Pure. So those are 3/3 Relic Waters.
Yep.
But he can't attack because
There's an ex-champion that
yeah,
just goes,
he'll
whatever.
gladly trade for either of those guys, probably for the Tempered Steel. Can finish him off very quickly with those 2 Nexuses if he gets his Tempered Steel back.
Looks like Hero of Bladehold in Wesco's hand right now on the left.
Bland is apparently looking very good in Game 3, according to coverage reporter Tim Willoughby.
Is he indeed?
Yeah, Mortarpod took down LSV's entire team, apparently.
I can tell you that we will be going to that game 4, so you will get to see Luis Scott-Vargas attempting to make the semi-finals and thus eliminate Owen Turtenwald from contention for Player of the Year. Remember, 4 players can still be Player of the Year here on the final day of the season. That's crazy. And David Caplan leads Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa by 2-1. The Canadian with mono red leads Paulo in his 8th Pro Tour top 8.
Owen has to be so conflicted right now.
Attack.
Just 1 attacker from Craig. He only sends in the 1 Relic Water with the Glinthawk under it.
Let's hold Paulo as well, please. Hold Paulo and Caplan on table B. We are going to C next, but hold B as well.
We're going to try to bring you all the late game action from both Paulo's match and LSV's match.
So as soon as this one is done, we will take you across to Bland and Scott-Vargas. We'll follow that up with what could be a decisive game 4 of Rosa against Caplan.
Caplan is indeed 2-1 up on Paulo right now.
So 3 mana.
Fiend Hunter takes down a Memnite.
So Woods untaps with Mox Opal, Glinthawk Idol, Etched Champion, facing Fiend Hunter with something stolen, Leonin Relic Water with something stolen, Leonin Relic Water with something stolen, and an Honor of the Pure.
And he is going to dismember to free his Tempered Steel.
He unsteals the steel.
Yep. Activates his Glinthawk Idol and attacks for 8. Craig is at 10.
And a poison. Let's not forget the poison. So once again, Wesco is under the gun. He untaps. Fiend Hunter and Relic Water. Honor of the Pure for the second game. Arguably not getting the job done.
He does have timely reinforcements, but it is not going to make him men right now. He is only going to gain him life, which is relevant since he's at 2.
4 cards. All the questions being asked by Conley Woods, all the answers required from Craig Wesco.
And even if Craig can stabilize this game, which I don't know how he necessarily can, he's going to have to deal with, 3 power Inkmoth Nexuses over the next 2 turns. He is holding Divine Offering, though.
And his fingers...
That could be what we call a big deal.
Yeah. Fingers tapping the table going, if you do this, I do this, I've got 3 mana, I can make it 4. Okay, there's land number 4.
Pass the turn, no attack. No play.
Looks like Woods has drawn another Etched Champion. He has indeed.
Turns on the Glinthawk.
In come my boys. Etched Champion has protection from all colours. And that is game number 2 to Conley Woods of the United States. He leads Craig Wesco by 2-0. So we are going to take you next to Table C, and that is going to feature Louis Scott-Vargas of the United States, of course from Team Channel Fireball, up against Richard Bland of England. The deal for Luis is if he makes the final, he will be Player of the Year. If he loses his semi-final, he can still be Player of the Year if Paulo and Josh fail to win Worlds. From Owen Turtenwild's point of view, he must have LSV lose this quarterfinal, and there you see them on the left, Louis Scott-Vargas, on the right for Black Border, Richard Bland of England, and they look like they are in to a pretty serious situation. Looks to me like there's a lot of real estate on that table. Yes, please, I'm sorry about that.
See, infinite tokens for Louis Scott-Vargas that are being blocked. There we go. Ironically being blocked by LSV.
That's a very British thing to do.
So it's 2 heroes of blade holds attacking, which leads to the infinite tokens.
Mm-hmm. Bland's meant to be the token deck.
Oh, he has a fair share.
So you see Bland there working out his blocks. There's the board position for
He's
you.
gonna activate his Gavany Township.
He is indeed. Let's get some counters on my guys. Looks like 2 going right the way across the board. So let's get those guys in the bin. A lot of my guys die. Things become a little bit clearer.
I'll try to get you an update on where people's life totals are in this game. The LSV tokens are actually soldier tokens from Elspeth, is what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a spell skite for LSV.
11-3 Scott-Vargas is the score. Bland has just passed the turn. At the end of this one, Bruce will go across to table B and we'll let them get on with their game 4. So at the end of this game, we will head across town to see David Caplan 2-1 up over Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa of Brazil.
Luis played Glinthawk Idol and passed. He attacks. He can attack for the final 3 next turn with the Hero Blade Hold, Battle Cry, and
Bland passes again. So Luis will go. Activate my Glinthawk Idol. Attack step. In I come.
sends in his spell skate as well.
2 guys. 4 blocks. And scoop them up, Richard Bland. That is 2-1 to Luis Scott-Vargas. And he is 1 game away from denying Owen Turtenwald, the record-breaking Owen Turtenwald, with his 7 Grand Prix top 8s in a season. Never been done before. He will be eliminated from the Player of the Year contention if Luis wins either of the next 2 games against Richard Bland.
Just another table update. It looks like Jun'ya Iyanaga is about to go up 2 games to 1 on Josh Utter-Leyton. He's got Ancient Grudge has cleared the board of Utter-Leyton's threats. Primeval Titan is in play. It does not seem good for him.
So 2-1 to Scott-Vargas, 2-1 to Caplan. That's where we're heading next. Still 1-1 Iyanaga Utter-Leyton, but close, we think, to a Japanese lead. And Conley Woods remains 2-0 up on Craig Wesco. So there you see the set in all its finery, and we're going to head across to the far side, the top of the screen, as you look to the match between David Caplan playing mono red and Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa of Brazil. Paulo must win Worlds to become Player of the Year, which means he will need these next 2 games. Caplan, there you see on screen.
Iyanaga's Titan was dispatched on the other table, but apparently there's a second Titan to catch his back.
Players can go, Bruce. Players can go.
All right, we're about to get these guys underway. Smiles from Caplan and Paulo.
Been waiting patiently for us, so we can bring their match to you.
None of our matches are decided yet.
And we are away. Caplan straight into business. Lots of early action.
We're sort of craning our necks to see what these guys have played as well as you are at home as we get the camera to come around. It's coming, I promise.
So it looks like multiple fire slingers for Caplan. Pair of goblin fire slingers come down.
Challenger's Phoenix attacks on turn 3.
Paulo has just had Origin Spell Bomb, I believe, and
Yep.
then gets a token out of that. There you see the board. Paulo will attack. Caplan will say that's absolutely fine.
Paulo is already at 15, and that is a fistful of fire in Caplan's hand.
You've been practicing that one. That was very good.
No, it's just what it was.
Okay. Paulo, though, has 8 cards in hand right now.
He's got the dispatch for the Phoenix, but he doesn't necessarily have the...
He's got Vault Scourge for a bit of life
Metalcraft.
gain if he needs. There's Glinthawk Idol. There's Mox Opal.
And there's your Metalcraft.
That was a terrific mechanic.
Yeah, he's going to fall too. Oh, in response, we're going to gut shot the token.
Let's get that out of there. Caplan
Keeps
untaps.
Metalcraft off.
Playing very crisply. Another Chandra's Phoenix in for 4. He's got Burner plenty. Double Fire Slinger.
Just to give you an update on the Conley Game 3, it looks like he is come out of the gates pretty quickly with an Etch Champion and a Glinthawk Idol. He's got a Spell Bomb in play. One Idol is under an Oblivion Ring, and we have no other non-land permanents for Craig.
Yeah, Conley just got rid of a hero of Blade Hold, so... Down comes Hero of Blade Hold for Wesco. But meanwhile, Paulo at 11 and down
Virtually
2 to
9 with the 2 Goblin Fire Slingers.
Caplan looking very calm. Been playing forever.
Plays a Glinthawk Idol and attacks for 2. From Paulo.
So, double Chandra's Phoenix up at the top of the board for Caplan. That looks like an Incinerate in hand. Amongst other fiery goodness, is that...
Manic Vandal.
And there's going to be Dispatch in response from Paulo.
Goes to 7, which is virtually 5. There's enough burn in Caplan's hand to just finish him off as long as there's no life gain from the Brazilian.
Go back to table C at the end of this game. Paulo is looking. He's got a Dispatch. He's got Origin Spellbomb. He's got double Vault Scourge. He's got Etch Champion. He's got Tempered Steel.
What he doesn't have is enough land or time to get all those things into play.
Yep. Arc Trail, Incinerate, Shrine of Burning Rage, and double Fire Slinger on the board, plus Chandra's Phoenix. Caplan is going to take out Paulo Vida Damo de Rosa of Brazil. Paulo needed to win Worlds to be Player of the Year. For the 2nd year running, he will make the top 8 of Worlds, almost certainly, and not get there.
Looks like we're very close to having 2 results here. Conley has dispatched both Hero of Blade Holds and is beating down against Craig Wesco.
Caplan still looking completely neutral.
Paulo pays 2 life for Vault Scourge.
And
Shows him
there's the
Incinerate.
hand! David Caplan of Canada wins! Caplan wins. Noah Long,
Noah
part
Long
of the
goes
Canadian national team.
Scurrying off for the high fives.
Wow! Caplan takes out Paulo Vida Damo de Rosa of Brazil.
8 points versus 300 points. Was that the Was that the Pro Point matchup there?
8 versus 310. 1 Pro Tour top 8 versus 8. 3 games versus 1. I know which stat Caplan likes. So Caplan advances to the semi-final. He will play the winner of the match we are heading back to as fast as we humanly can. That is Louis Scott-Vargas of the United States of Channel Fireball up against Richard Bland of England, playing in his first Pro Tour top 8 here at Worlds. And I can tell you that Louis Scott-Vargas has Macias the Lunarch in play, but on the other side of the table, Richard Bland has 1,000,000 tokens, and it looks to me like Bland has just taken game 4. And we are going to have a decider.
Wow. Yeah, we came there just in time to see about 12 Louis Scott-Vargas tokens in play on Richard Bland's side of the table. And a mortar pod.
So, Louis Scott-Vargas, you probably know quite a bit about. Let me tell you a little bit about Richard Bland. He's a level 5 from Burbage in Leicestershire. He's 23, 71 lifetime pro points, 3 Grand Prix top 8. A titanic effort in the Legacy GP in 2010. He also made 3rd place at Barcelona earlier this year, and then UBDM were in the building when just last week he was the finalist of Grand Prix San Diego.
Yeah, he ran afoul of Shahar Shenhar in the final round, but played great Magic all weekend and made the finals. A nice tune-up before heading into Worlds.
Very much part of the Coventry scene that involved people that at home will know, the Matteo and Marco Orsini-Jones, the 2 brothers. Dan Gardner, who was at 13-0 at San Diego before facing this man, Louis Scott-Vargas. There you see his resume. He's 28. 274 lifetime pro points. That level 7 pro, I think that's heading for 8 after this weekend.
He can get to 299 lifetime by the end of this event.
Yeah, 274 plus the 25 for winning. First at Nationals 2007. He's won a Grand Prix in this city in 2007. Atlanta first 2008, and of course his Pro Tour title was 2008 in Berlin. Now, you talked about the change of approach for Conley Woods, and that is something that Louis Scott-Vargas did as well before, back end of 2006.
I actually think there's parallels.
Yeah.
When Luis first stepped onto the stage and did well at Nationals and was doing pretty well at the Pro Tours, he wasn't getting those top 8s, and he was kind of stubbornly playing like rock decks with Loxodon and Hierarch whenever possible, or Gifts decks, which were his preference and may not have always been the best deck. So not quite the rogue strategy that we saw Conley kind of adhere to for the last 2 years, but you know, LSV was very, very stubborn in his deck choice, and he did not go best deck, and then at some point something clicked in his head and he was like, I'm going to play the best deck, and you know, we've seen the results. His 3-year median is something like 10th or 11th at Pro Tours.
Game 5.
It's unbelievable.
And you probably spotted there, you had Luis and Josh Adoraptor busy sort of having a chat to each other. It's like, what you scored? 2-1. Oh yeah, we're going to game 5. So there is Richard Bland once again. You see him there getting ready for game 5. You see all his details, and he just worked so hard at his game. Started out, you know, as your F&M local player, you know, very much paying his dues on the draft scene. There were a lot of good players around at that time, and he started going to European Grand Prix, and we are now into action in game 5. So let's get to the action.
Vault Scourge from LSV was the opening play, and no first turn play from Richard Bland. Glenhawk Idol followed up, and a Memnite.
So a good start for LSV here in game 5. Richard Bland. This time last year, Jonathan Randall faced Channel Fireball and took it to 5 games in the quarterfinal against Paulo, Vitor, Damo, Rosa. Now Bland here has taken it to game 5 against one of the greatest the game has ever seen.
Birds of Paradise. A Spellscape prompts Gut Shot from Richard Bland on the Vault Scourge.
So Bland will untap with bonus mana available, thanks to Birds of Paradise.
Richard is at 14. Luis is at 19.
Has 4 mana available. It's going to use 3 of them.
To play Timely Reinforcements. Changes things around. He goes back up to 20. Starts a new game.
Has 3 of those in the board. Scott-Vargas. Glint Idol, Memnite.
Micaeus, the Lunarch comes down for
Luis.
yeah, one counter. That was the 60th card in that deck.
Oh, okay.
It was apparently could have been anything. Okay, we have some tokens attacking. Oh, there's a Gavany Township.
So that will pump the squad. Birds of Paradise will no longer be a 0 power. And it is Richard Bland on the offense right now here in Game 5. LSV looks at Dismember, Tempered Steel, Etched Champion, Etched Champion. That is the hand for Louis
He
Scott
does not have
Vargas.
the mana, though. Again, we just saw this in the Paulo matchup. The Tempered Steel deck is very light on lands.
And is it going to be critically light on lands?
Richard thumps
yeah.
his chest.
Yeah, that's me. That's just fine.
I will take one.
Luis has passed the turn without land number 3. And Gavany Township is in play and running the show for Richard Bland.
Birds can now attack.
Declare an attack. In you come. And
Chooses not to attack with his birds. Oh,
no,
wait, maybe. No.
Yeah, just these 3. Luis lays his hand down. We'll wait to see what happens. In the background, you can see Josh Utter-Leyton watching. He will play his next game at the conclusion of Game 5 here. Long Game 3 still going between Conley Woods and Craig Wesco.
Yeah.
We haven't forgot about them.
Timely reinforcement showed up for Craig, and he's some Oblivion Rings, a Fiend Hunter, and he's pulled back into that game and kind of has Conley down to just an Etched Champion, a token, and a lot of lands. Looks like he's working his Moorland Haunt.
LSV has found land number 3. So Etched Champion comes down, activates Glinthawk Idol. The Glinthawk Idol comes in. Bland at 17. Pass the turn, end of turn, counter from the Gavany Township on all my guys.
That's a second counter on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Can put a third counter on in his attack step.
Bland untaps. On the right of your screen, this match tied at 2-2. Another land for Bland, but that's not bad because Gavany Township, very mana intensive. In comes the team. Blocks aplenty from Luis. I'll let you know when I'm properly done. So a 2, a 1, and a none right now.
Luis is at 11.
And although Dismember can cast as little as 1, it can't cost as little as 0. So that is a dead card in hand right now. Planned ordering the blockers. And then activate my township. Pumpity pump. Counter from Micaeus. We're going to see dice going the other way as well.
Right. Micaeus started out at one counter but has ticked up, so now has counters to spare.
Sure. Sense.
So I trade a token for a Memnite. Get in for 4. And play Mortipod
To finish off.
Finish off the Spellskate with the Germ token.
So it is Richard Bland who is edging ahead of Luis Scott-Vargas.
Is that a second Etched Champion?
It is. Double Etched Champion, Micaeus. Glinthawk Idol is active. And Luis picks it up and then says, yes, I'm going to send it in. He's still thinking about that, though.
No reason not to. He has no mana to activate it on Richard's turn.
So Luis tapped out Double Edge Champion, Micaeus, Glint Hawk Idol, Bland, Birds of Paradise. 2 tokens left.
Luis has just clawed back into this game.
He found the 3rd land when he needed it. Once he got to 3, he was in the position to actually be able to do something.
And didn't have an attachment to the Micaeus as anything other than, I'm going to play it, I don't have to throw it away too soon. He took the time to build it up, so now that he's able to use it.
What wouldn't Bland give for a Naturalize? Because right now, there are 3 artifacts on Luis's side of the board, I believe. So Metalcraft could be turned off. What does Bland have? Looks like multiple heroes. Looks like multiple heroes. Wow.
And he can play 2 of them this turn if he wanted. Both go to check legendary status on hero. No, he does not. He's
Counters are plenty. He's in on the Gavany Township plan.
tax Luis to 3.
3 points away. Bland up at 15. Counter from Micaeus. Micaeus bites the dust. Luis untaps.
Shows him tempered
steel.
Richard is at 15. He extends. Richard Bland has defeated Luis Scott-Vargas. Richard Bland wins. Luis needed an extra mana to be able to do multiple things. Rich is stunned silent. This does not happen.
Good boy.
I had like 3 heroes in hand by the end. I kept on not.
That's extraordinary. That is extraordinary. It is 3-2 to Richard Bland.
What's going on? So I'm playing mono red now. I need to learn how to play against that.
And he will face David Caplan in the semi-finals. Let us take you to matches that are still going on. Let us take you to Game 4 of Jun'ya Iyanaga against Josh Utter-Leyton. 2 Channel Fireball team members have finished their matches, and 2 Team Channel Fireball members are gone. And they are 2 of the Team Channel Fireball members that could have taken Player of the Year from Owen Turtenwald. Owen Turtenwald is still in possession of Player of the Year. So right now...
And we're going to look at Josh Utter-Leyton down 2 games to 1. Against Jun'ya Iyanaga playing
So Luis Scott-Vargas
Green-Red Wolf Run.
did not make the semi-finals. He did not make the final. Luis Scott-Vargas will not be Player of the Year. Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa has not won Worlds. He will not be Player of the Year. The deal is now this. Luis Scott-Vargas loses his quarterfinal. Paulo cannot win. If Josh Utter-Leyton fails to win Worlds, your 2011 Player of the Year will be Owen Turtenwald. It is that simple.
On the back of a top 16 in Paris, a 33rd place this weekend, and 7 Grand Prix top 8s.
Which is a record. No one has ever done that before. So there you see the 2 players. On the far side of the screen on your left is Josh Utter-Leyton of Team Channel Fireball, and on the near side Jun'ya Iyanaga of Japan. So Utter-Leyton, there's Iyanaga. You see the 24-year-old. He's got 80 lifetime pro points and a competitor in the Magic Online.
Craig Wesco has forced a Game 4 on the front table against Conley Woods a timely reinforcements was quite aptly named in that match.
Let's see if we can get a look at the player profiles for these two, Iyanaga and Josh Utter-Leyton, as they're busy shuffling up for their game 4. You see Iyanaga there, and there he is looking a lot happier. Perhaps he hadn't been playing 15 hours of Magic for 3 straight days when that picture was taken. 80 lifetime pro points from Setagaya in Japan. In the Magic Online Championship Series, the extra rounds at the end of each day. You see there his title from Grand Prix Gitakushu in 2009 and the runner-up ultimately in Nationals 2007. A very, very solid player, and BDM, I know it's kind of playing out the way you anticipated, that he leads 2-1 and you just feel he has a deck edge in the quarterfinals.
I mean, just look at his deck. I mean, after sideboard, he has Viridian Corruptor, 2 Ancient Grudge. He has, you know, plenty of removal game 1. He has Inferno Titan, Primeval Titan. He has Kessig Wolf Run to just power through any creatures that might stand in the way of his Titans. And really, you're looking at 4 dispatches.
So let's take a look at Josh Utter-Leyton.
Josh Utter-Leyton.
And his player profile. There you see him from the United States, San Jose, California, 25 years old, 111 pro points. He's a level 7, of course, from Team Channel Fireball, and the US national champion last year, BDM.
One of the most respected online players, known as Raptor.
Yep. And after a lot of waiting patiently, Mum, who's out in the audience, gets to watch her boy live on the big screen. So it's great to have her with us this weekend. And so there's Josh getting ready to face a game 4, and he hopes a game 5. So players getting ready to go in this one. Tempered Steel once again for Josh Utter-Leyton, pretty much card for card what they've all played. And Kessig Wolf Run being the star of the show for Iyanaga.
And so for Josh Utter-Leyton to be player of the year, he needs to win this, he needs to win his semis, and he needs to win the finals.
Josh has to win everything. He has to win the whole thing. He was way back in the field. I believe he came in on 40 points coming into this weekend, and that gave him an absolute maximum of 65, 52 if he made the top 8, 56 if he reached the semi-final, 60 if he lost the final, 65 if he wins the final. That will outdo Owen Turtenwald by 1 point. We've been doing Cover It Live little surveys and polls through the week. Yesterday we did a poll: who will win Player of the Year? Gotta say, the majority were for LSV and Paulo. Not entirely surprisingly. Not many people thought that Owen might hold up. Right now, and for the first time since he was eliminated from contention with his 5th loss, he is favoured to be Player of the Year. And if that happens, let it be said, these people didn't lose it, he won it. 7 Grand Prix top 8s is absurd in a season.
Absolutely.
He didn't even go to all of them. He didn't come to Europe. It's not like he was doing the grind. So if you're thinking of, oh yeah, well, it's like, well, Nakamura goes to everything, and if you play in 30 GPs and you're that good, maybe you do 1 in 4. He's more like 1 in 2. Incredible performance from Owen Turtenwald.
Yeah, no, he played great Magic this year. I mean, again, he has a top 16 at Paris. It was, you know, virtually a top 8 there. He has a 33rd place this weekend. It's not like he's going to the Pro Tour and not playing great Magic as well.
Yeah. So
Iyanaga's waiting on Josh Utter-Leyton, who looks like is mulliganing.
He's still thinking.
So over we go.
Iyanaga is not a rapid shuffler, is he? That is a very, very slow shuffle. Clearly conserving his energy.
So as usual, Worlds, a ton of nations represented. We're going to take a look at the top 10 Americans in the field, see how they got on. Of course, a powerhouse nation, but some really interesting names on this one. You begin, of course, with the 4 in the top 8. Conley Woods, Scott-Vargas, Josh Utter-Leyton and Craig Wesco. But then further down BDM, all sorts of interesting stories. Start with Andrew Cuneo for me.
Andrew Cuneo won his spot here via the Magic Online Championship Series. And, you know, he's an old-time player. He's got a couple of top 8s in the old Team Pro Tours. And he just proved he still had it. You know, played a 1997 style blue-white control deck in Standard, and ended up finishing 10th. Matthias Hunt, ostensibly your rookie or co-rookie of the year. Ben Stark had a great season, multiple top 16s, a top 8. He won Paris. I do not know Philip Lauren. Kudos to him on a top 32 finish.
And I tell you what, he was another player. He reminded me a lot of Fabian Thiele, because everywhere he went, he was just having a great time and a great ride, and to be around, because one of the fun things is when you're doing well in draft, you can't always tell that you're doing well in draft when you look at in the room, because the way they seat everybody is that you don't sit next to players in your pod or people on the same record. So you're going to be sitting, they're spread out at table 1, 62, 138, 209. But when you get down the stretch, when you get to modern, it's the front rank of tables. And tables 1 to 12, it's like round by round. You sit down with 4 rounds to go, you're at table 17. You sit down with 3 rounds to go, you're at table 12. You sit down with 2 rounds to go, you're at table 7. And you can see the 12 people sitting beside you, and you're just like, can I get to table 4 before it's too late? Lauren was involved in that run, and he just had a tremendous weekend. So they're your top 10 Americans. Once again, it looks like Josh Utter-Leyton has mulliganed, and this is an interesting one. Talking to the Channel Fireball crew early on day 1, when, let's be honest, the tempered steel deck in the heat of battle was still relatively untested, because you can test as much as you like in a hotel room. Fact remains, it's actually what is the metagame, what are the people playing against. There was quite a lot of conversation about, does this deck mulligan badly? They were talking about, do you have to mulligan a lot? Does it not mulligan well? Is that a weak point to the deck? It's certainly something that Owen Turtenwald was talking about, after a couple of rounds and a little bit of misfortune in the deck department. And Josh Utter-Leyton right now looks like he is staring at just 5 cards. And we are underway in a game that Josh Utter-Leyton must win, or Owen Turtenwald will be player of the year.
Iyanaga agonized over his mulligan decision. He ultimately kept a hand that had 2 Inferno Titans, 1 Slagstorm, 1 Viridian Corruptor, 1 Solemn Simulacrum, and 2 lands. As we see, he's drawn his 3rd mana source. Sphere of the Suns.
Yeah, thank you for that, Sphere. There's a land.
A Corruptor takes out the Spellscape.
Just taking the counter. Josh Utter-Leyton off a mulligan to 5. Conley Woods won off a mulligan to 5 earlier in the day. That's how it kicked off.
Inkmoth Nexus gets in for 1, no 3rd land.
If you're wondering what's happening in Game 4 of Woods and Wesco, the answer is absolutely nothing without you. So we will get to Game 4 there.
Iyanaga's winning the Infect race. Corruptor gets in for 2. Here comes Solemn Simulacrum, and that is Inferno Titan mana.
Oh boy. Are you seriously telling me that we could be getting to the point where it's at least 3, if not 4, of the Fireball team gone in the quarters?
It's certainly, I don't see how Josh can come back against Inferno Titan here.
He's got a Tempered Steel, Etched Champion, a Dispatch. A lot of mana for Iyanaga. There's Inferno Titan. Kill.
Goes to 4 poison, takes 2 damage.
Smash. Utter-Leyton untaps. It's very similar body language from Brian David Marshall on my right and Josh Utter-Leyton just down on the floor. It's like, I know. Josh will send in some poison guys. Reach out with Dispatch for the Inferno Titan.
Metalcraft and Dispatch is Very nice play.
He's quite good.
He is.
But there's another Inferno Titan we know in Iyanaga's hand. He sends in the team. Josh has dealt with one. Is he going to be able to deal with another? 3 to the face.
He should be at 12. Josh should be at 12 at this point. With 6 poison counters.
Josh Utter-Leyton.
Is that a Keswick Wolf run up in the upper corner? Can he just poison him out next turn with the Corruptor?
Tempered Steel from Josh. As we may have mentioned before, Tempered Steel without creatures is not too exciting, but he does have Nexuses. So counters go on the Inferno Titan, but the damage keeps piling into Josh.
8 poison, 7 life.
8 poison and 7 life for Josh Utter-Leyton.
8 poison, 7.
Iyanaga has 2 poison counters.
But Josh has lost one of his Inkmoth Nexus. Had to put it in the way of the Inferno Titan, and it looks like there's room for more. It's another Inferno Titan. That's 3. 1 difficult, 2 nearly deadly, 3 surely impossible. There's the hand. Jun'ya Iyanaga triumphs over Josh Utter-Leyton by 3 games to 1. Jun'ya Iyanaga, congratulations to you. You have taken down the might of Josh Utter-Leyton and Team Channel Fireball 3 times now. Iyanaga, Bland, Caplan, and with that, Owen Turtenwald is your player of the year.
Congratulations to Owen. It's been a tremendous year for him. He definitely deserves this honor.
And he cannot believe what has unfolded
huge smile
there.
on his face.
Absolutely gigantic. He thought he had no chance whatever of doing that. And they have all fallen by the wayside at the last. He put the points in the bank, traveling the world. Outstanding.
And the last baller standing is Conley Woods.
Let us go to game 4.
Where they're underway. Turn 1 on the draw. We have a Gideon's Lawkeeper for Wesco. An Inkmoth Nexus is attacking on turn 2. That is Conley's only play.
Paulo watching now to see what happens in the final quarterfinal. Rosa gone 3-1 to Caplan. The matchup looked difficult. Scott-Vargas out 3-2 to Bland. A second Lawkeeper from Wesco. And just now, Iyanaga with triple Inferno Titan against a mulligan to 5. That's not fair in almost any fight. Josh Utter-Leyton goes down and must be content with another tremendous weekend, making the top 8 for the second time a year after San Diego. Now Woods and Wesco for the last slot in the semi-finals. So Wesco will attack with his 2 guys. There's nothing to tap. Doesn't feel the need. Third land from Wesco. Woods activates and sends it in. Another land. And I'd like to have Glinthawk Idol. And of course he knows that he could get Mana Leak, so he just offers it up. And Wesco says, yeah, sure, that's fine. See Divine Offering available. And he's going to use it for the Glinthawk Idol, so I don't need to counter it. I'm just going to kill it once it arrives. Back we go to the Geist aggro player. Haven't really seen Geist of St. Traff do anything for Wesco in this one, but he's still in there fighting. And once again, a pair of 1/1s will be beating down as 1/1s. Land number 4, Hero of Bladehold for Wesco. Board starting to stack up, and it's going to stack up a lot more if that hero gets to attack. 3 land from Conley, Etch Champion. And he reaches out to get rid of the hero. And we'll pass. So Etch Champion, protection from all colours as long as Woods has Metalcraft. 2 cards in Conley's hand, 4 for Wesco right now. There's a Dismember there, waiting in the wings. Moorland Haunt arrives. And Etch Champion will be sent packing. And yet again, we see a board state where a lot of Conley Woods permanents are stuck under Craig Wesco permanents. But Woods has an answer. He's got Dismember for the Fiend Hunter. So he will get his Etch Champion back. And Wesco will finish off with a Dismember of his own for the Etch Champion. So the board is clear once again, except for a pair of Gideon's Lawkeepers for Craig Wesco. 2-1 down to Conley Woods, the man who has not been defeated at Worlds 2011 and still remains in the box seat, 2-1 up. Activates his Nexus, attacks, then makes Glinthawk Idol, Glinthawk, I do beg your pardon. And we go back to Wesco. Pair of 1/1s and a pair of cards in hand. I'm going to steal again, if that's okay. Less Geist aggro, more Geist aggravated theft. Everything seems to be going into Wesco's side of the table. Activate Inkmoth Nexus, put something in the way. Let's trade those off. It's all Wesco, and you've got to think we might be heading for a game 5. Land number 5 from Conley is not what he wants to do. Wesco draws, still 2 cards in hand. Attack. In. 3, says Conley. And that is game 4 to Craig Wesco. We will have a game 5. Goodness gracious me. We have David Caplan defeating Paulo Damo Rosa by 3-1. We have Richard Bland defeating Lewis Scott-Vargas by 3-2. And we have Jun'ya Iyanaga defeating Josh Utter-Leyton by 3-1. And now we will have a game 5. So we'll, as the players get ready to make any final tweaks to their sideboards for this game 5, you would think they've got it pretty well worked out by now, as we head for a game 5 between Conley and Wesco. Wesco just stole everything in sight, and that was enough. Conley flicking through his decks. There you see Conley's profile. He's 24 and 95 lifetime pro points. He's a level 6. First Grand Prix top 8 was 2009 in Tampa, but the real breakout performance, as BDM you said earlier, was Pro Tour Honolulu 2009, and at that point he was one of those people with a big question mark next to him. Here he is, an exciting deck builder. Congratulations, can you play, was the question mark. And Honolulu told us a lot about Conley Woods and that, yes, he really can.
And again, coming into this event, there were a number of questions about Conley. He came into this event with 15 pro points, in danger of not locking up invites to all the pro tours next year. And, he came in feeling like he had something to prove, and something seems to have clicked for him. He talked about this year being a growth process, playing better decks, being more in lockstep with the team.
There you see Craig Wesco in the suit. He's been wearing that all weekend long, looking very smart and dapper. The TCGplayer.com player from the United States once again, and from Roselle, Illinois, this 28-year-old, and he has been playing since the dawn of time, August 1996. How about this for a nice flavorful tournament? They don't make them like this anymore. Yeah, in 1996, when Craig was 13, he got his parents to take him to Mighty Mix Ice Age Sealed Tournament in Roselle, Illinois, which is fantastic. And now here, 15 years later, the 28-year-old Wesco, one game away from the semi-finals of Worlds.
I remember seeing him around at virtually every pro tour, playing side events, qualified, not qualified. And then, really that was just such a breakout for him in San Diego at the start of last year. And he's really made the most of that opportunity.
Yeah, he saw that was his ticket to the bigs, if you will, and that he didn't need to be part-time. He could really devote himself to the game. He has done. Once again, he's getting the reward. 6-0 in standard he was. 6-0 Woods was in standard. Woods, of course, continued being X-0 at everything. Craig 4-2 in draft, and then 3-3 modern.
Conley has actually not lost a match he's played yet.
Yep. It's pretty close now, though. One game away when it really, really counts. One of these two will take on Wolfrun in the form of Jun'ya Iyanaga of Japan in the semi-finals. Waiting for the winner of that one will be the green-white tokens of Richard Bland or the mono-red of David Caplan of Canada. Players gearing up. Let's hope they both keep 7. Woods looks at 7. There's an etched champion in there. He says, sure. Wesco picks up what could be his appointment with Destiny. 7 cards. Does he like them? There's a Geist. There's an Honor the Pure. Looks like he's got some lands. Is it sufficient? Sea Chrome Coast we see there on the right of screen. Geist second from the left. Honor of the Pure. And we are away. Inkmoth Nexus from Conley. Sea Chrome Coast from Wesco. This for all the marbles. Glinthawk Idol, turn 2, Woods. Turn 2, Wesco. Honor of the Pure. From now on, everything I do is better than it used to be.
Well, he attacks for 8. With Geist Honored Monk.
Wow. That's a card we've not seen yet in this match at all. Conley, 6 cards. Just to let you know, after the quarterfinals, it'll be lunchtime. We'll come back with the semis. We'll come back with the teams. We'll come back with, of course, the championship match. And Matthias Hunt will be quite interested in the team competition. He will either be Rookie of the Year, or he may have to wait a while.
Or he'll be co-Rookie of the Year. And we'll also be playing back the Magic Online Championship Series.
That's right.
During the lunch break. If you haven't, if you've avoided Twitter and Facebook and haven't seen any of the results from that.
Yep, that took place earlier this morning.
And it was won by
somebody.
Redacted.
Conley has Glinthawk Idol looking at an Honor of the Pure.
He's really put a lot of thought into this turn. Decides. Maybe not.
Decides to activate the Nexus, and then is going to send both, in fact. So attacking on 2 fronts.
He's a 10th of the way there each way.
A tithe, in fact. That should be a magic card.
Here is the Geist.
There is the Geist. Okay, so hexproof. Chance to get some 4/4 angels. Card that Craig is very sweet on in his deck.
5/5 in this case.
Indeed. Etched Champion. Trigger my Glinthawk Idol. In it comes. One white open. Not Metalcraft right now.
He can keep the Geist at bay, but he can't kill it. It's a 3/3.
So what does Wesco do with a hand of 6 cards? He will begin by laying a Plains, his 4th land of this deciding game of the quarterfinals of Worlds 2011. 3 land, Oblivion Ring. Here we go again. Let's get rid of Glinthawk Idol, shall we?
And that shuts off Metalcraft. He could have turned it on by activating his Nexus.
Mm-hmm. So in comes the Hexproof Geist and the Angel. 2+4, but really 3+5. 8 damage. And the Angel goes away. Woods in trouble. After Utter-Leyton, gone. Scott-Vargas, gone. Rosa, gone. Do you know what Team Channel Fireball will say if all 4 of them lose in the quarterfinal? I can tell you exactly what they'll say. They'll say, it's magic. That's one of the reasons they're amongst the best players in the world.
We'll get them next time we all make the top 8.
Yeah. Like in February.
Signal Pest.
Hero of Bladehold. It's not over yet. Woods unloads with Signal Pest and Hero of Bladehold. Wesco untaps. That is a second Honor of the Pure he has just drawn.
Let him attack for 10 here.
Wesco has.
He's also holding Fiend Hunter.
Oof. Fiend Hunter, take out your hero. In.
You can play a
Have another Angel.
4/6 Fiend Hunter.
Oh, good lord.
Take out the Hero of Bladehold. Attack for 10 here, leaving Conley at 4 with a Signal Pest.
Fiend Hunter, Timely Reinforcements, Honor of the Pure, Moorland Haunt should he ever need it, and an Island. Those are the 5 cards. And if Wesco does pull this back, let's remember he was 2-0 down against the man who had not lost all weekend.
It's funny, this is the match I felt like Channel Fireball might lose. And I thought the other 3.
You certainly said it would all go long, and
the
it
other
has.
3 were going to go the other way.
Land number 5. 1, 2, 3.
Clear the way.
Hunter, Steal.
Is he going to play? He is.
Honor of the Pure number 2.
Take 10.
In. Woods looks. Wesco. On the verge of being the Terminator in the quarterfinals.
Conley's looking for a way out. He can certainly buy some turns. He's got some Glint Hawk in his hand. He can not die next turn. He is holding Dispatch, but that does not deal with the Geist.
Hexproof.
4/4 hexproof.
And yet again, you see half of Woods' key permanents on Wesco's side of the table every time. That is the story of this match.
Right, well, we talked about the Faceless Butchers.
Yep.
The Butcher Shop, if you will. The Relic Warders, the Fiend Hunters, the Oblivion Rings. You know, plus the artifact and enchantment removal.
Woods has not left a table defeated at this event. Wesco has, multiple times. But now is when it really matters, and Conley Woods is down to 2.
Craig Wesco has lost to Conley Woods and David Caplan in draft, and lost to Paulo, Vitor, and Thorolf Severin in Modern. Conley's only losses were to Paulo and Luis, and those were both concessions to get his friends into the top 8.
Let's ask the audience. Audience watching the top 8. Put your hand in the air if you think Conley can pull this one out.
3 hands.
Okay.
One person put up 2 of them. But you know, this has been Conley's pose the entire weekend, win or lose. Hand on his chin, studying the board, thinking about his options. How do I win? How do I not lose? He's got 2 Inkmoth Nexus.
But Wesco is just at 1 poison. That is a long, long way from 10. Activate. Dispatch Fiend Hunter. I'll have a hero back. In. And then Glinthawk. Replay Inkmoth Nexus.
Which was an artifact because he had animated it.
Back to you. Wesco untaps. With Geist of St. Traff, double Honor of the Pure. And now 3 cards in hand. He wants that Glinthawk to not be there.
Well, Conley's at 2, so I mean, he could also believe if he attacks, Conley has to block both creatures. Conley's already used 1 dispatch, doesn't know if he has another one.
Conley, of course, having replayed Inkmoth Nexus, now has
Oh,
another
he also has
available.
That's true.
Another available blocker. Conley sat for a long time. What he came up with wasn't too shabby. Wesco now. Looks at his 3 cards once again. And you've got to feel that he's feeling the pressure. He's going to... Oh. The well-known pick it up and then actually hang on. In comes the team. Activate Inkmoth Nexus. Will we get as far as blockers? Looks like we will. Wesco holding another Geist, a Timely Reinforcement, and a Moorland Haunt.
timely reinforcements is going to give him 3 creatures if he plays it.
Mm-hmm. And they'll all be rather big. Block like this, block like this. Wesco looks at the 3. We know what they are.
Dispatches the token.
That works. Inkmoth Nexus is in the bin. Counter goes on the Geist. Moorland Haunt for Wesco. This is going to be timely reinforcements. There it is. Conley just goes, sure. But he knows that's desperate news. But he untaps with Signal Pest, Etch Champion, Glint Hawk, Hero of Bladehold. 1 card. He is trying everything to claim the victory. Wesco sits patiently. Conley, hands steepled, deep in thought. Pivotal moments here in Game 5.
Conley has to not take 6 in the air. Has to not let one of those 3/3s through. Has to worry about turning on the Moorland Haunt.
Wesco's still up. At 11.
Conley attacks with everyone.
What else do you do? Signal Pest, Battle Cry, Etch Champion, Hero of Bladehold, Glint Hawk. 2 tokens from the hero. Yep, let's spread them out a bit, says Wesco. Let's take a look at exactly what's coming at my face. And he has 3 blockers. And he's looking and thinking, is there any way that you can deal me enough points? Or is this the last hurrah, just looking for some hideous misplay on my part? Wesco looks. If I do this, am I there? That will come through. That will come through. That deals me
3
nothing.
from the hero. 3 from the Glint Hawk. 4, no, sorry, there's also a Signal Pest down there, so that's 4 and 4. 2 from, that's 10.
So 4 from the hero, 3 from the Glint Hawk. Right now he would take 7 and drop to 4, I believe.
You take 9.
Oh, you take 9. It's 1 further down. Okay. It is 2 apiece. Wood says, here's a Glint Hawk. I will bring back Signal Pest. I will replay Signal Pest. Over to you, Craig Wesco.
2 apiece.
Hands up in the audience if you think Conley can win now. Heck of a lot more.
Even if you divide that number by 2, it's still a lot.
Wesco draws. He's drawn a Plains. There is a Plains and a Geist of St. Traft in Wesco's hand. He has Geist. He has 2 Honor of the Pure in play. He's going to attack. Woods in milliseconds says, I'm going to block like this. Wesco nods. You are going to see a handshake any minute. Wesco.
Conley says, you look at his hand there, he's just like tensed. He's like, do you have
That's
it?
the game!
Unbelievable.
Conley Woods, by 3-2, keeps the Channel Fireball dream alive.
He refused to lose that game.
That is an extraordinary game of Magic. An extraordinary game of Magic. Wow. From the gods, from so far back, you needed a telescope to see him in that game.
And I could have played it the turn I played Edge Oracle, or just Edge
He
Champion,
was
but I figured
dead
if
for
you have
all
rules,
money.
You're going to have to use Glint Hawk or Edge Champion.
That was unbelievable. There were 3 hands raised when we took an informal poll of the room. 2 of them were on 1 person.
I didn't do
Unbelievable.
any testing, by the way.
That is a new Conley Woods. That is the Conley Woods who came to Worlds
Really bad, that's why I had to take it, and I was
with
just not in the mood.
just a
I've been
changed attitude.
playing my ass off all weekend, better than I've ever played, and I was just there.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the booth. That was simply crazy. I'm sorry. This game is the most extraordinary game that has ever graced the earth. You do not get drama like that in ways like that every time we sit here, something extraordinary happens, and that is quite hard to top. That was utterly extraordinary.
That was a privilege to watch.
Yes, we're quite lucky. Did you know?
I do know.
Let us take you through the action, and it began where it ultimately ended, with Conley Woods and Craig Wesco looking at Tempered Steel against Geist Aggro for Wesco. And Conley pretty comfortably took a 2-0 lead. Fair enough, we thought.
Game 1, he mulliganed to 5.
Yeah.
And just destroyed Craig.
Still did it. So we thought that would be pretty comfortable for Woods. At that point, all 4 Channel Fireball players still alive. Owen Turtenwald, meanwhile, needed, first of all, Louis Scott-Vargas not to win his quarterfinal. Well, that was up against Richard Bland of England. That was a match, of course, of Tempered Steel up against Green-White Tokens. We thought LSV was a pretty heavy favourite in that one. And to be fair, particularly in game 1, he had a very unfortunate sort of opening, and Bland just sort of trampled all over him in game 1. It was quickly 1-1. We got back to 2-1. Suddenly it was 2-2. And then in the decider, when it really mattered, Louis Scott-Vargas didn't get the cards he needed. Specifically, he didn't get the mana he needed.
We talked about the fact that there's 2 things I think it worked. The Tempered Steel deck does not mulligan especially well. And 2, it was somewhat off people's radar. I don't know how much preparation people had against that deck going into those first 6 rounds of Standard. Obviously, they knew how to play against it. They'd seen it. But was it fresh in their minds?
Scott-Vargas out. At this point, Wesco is back to 2-1. What about Josh Utter-Leyton? Well, he was playing up against Jun'ya Iyanaga of Japan, Iyanaga with Wolf Run, and you felt that this was the one where the matchup, just as the cards against the cards, was strongly favoured for Iyanaga.
Right. Almost everyone I talked to agreed that this matchup, when I talked to Shuhei this morning, he felt it was an 80-20 matchup in favour of Iyanaga, and I think Iyanaga is going to be a little disappointed. Iyanaga's going to be a little disappointed to see the other Tempered Steel decks fall by the wayside, because, you know, there was a potential for an all-Tempered Steel gauntlet for him, which would have been an easy route to victory.
So he takes out Josh Utter-Leyton. At this point, Craig Wesco comes back to 2-2. Meanwhile, Paulo Damo de Rosa, Tempered Steel, up against David Caplan. Again, you felt, although not quite so strongly, that the Mono Red had an edge.
Mono Red had an edge. I thought that edge might have been mitigated by the fact that Paulo was going first. It was, you know, by all accounts, a 50-50 matchup.
Okay.
But, you know, small sample size. That went Caplan's way. Goblin Fireslinger really showed itself. It just was a steady source of damage. It did a lot of work in those final games.
History says that when a card is missing the words creature or before the word player, when it's like deal 1 damage to target player, it's kind of a bit miserable. Not here, it wasn't.
Well, it's just a goblin that attacks for 1 every turn and always gets through. It's an unblockable goblin.
Yeah, absolutely. So Caplan wins, and then utter pulsation at the end of the quarterfinals. Woods against Wesco. Woods dead for all money, as I say, and he pulls it out. Let me tell you what's going to happen with the rest of the day. We're going to go lie down in a darkened room, might even have some lunch while we're at it. Once we've done that, we'll come back with the semi-finals, which will see the still undefeated on the weekend, Conley Woods of the United States of Team Channel Fireball of Team Tempered Steel, up against Jun'ya Iyanaga. Now, honestly, if Woods gets past Iyanaga, I will say that he can walk on water, because you've basically said that Iyanaga is there to dominate the Tempered Steel decks. If Woods finds a way past Iyanaga, that potentially will even top what we've just seen against Wesco.
Well, I don't know if anything can top that for Drum. That's one of the best games of Magic I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
That was just phenomenal.
Extraordinary. That's the top semi-final. The bottom semi-final will see Richard Bland of England up against David Caplan of Canada. I have absolutely no idea who I'm going to want in that one. No idea at all. I love Canada very much, just not in the semi-final. But that's going to be an interesting one. Green-white tokens against mono-red. We'll go talk to the players over lunch. Once we've had the semi-finals...
We actually heard Richard Bland say...
Yeah.
As the match wound down, he said, I have to go learn how to play against mono-red now.
Yeah, he was expecting to have to learn how to play Innistrad Sealed in the PDQ this afternoon. So it's pretty much that's how things are set up. Then we've got the team final, then we've got the world final. But we are done for now. And we will see you once again 60 minutes from now.